I'm Shripal from SVA, Shripal and Venkat Architects, and we are a design firm which has been practicing architecture, master planning, interior design for the last 10 years, since my return back from the Far East and the United States. Client had a very clear brief. He's the head of a family which has 3 generations together, and he says, I need a house where the family stays together, but a house where the architecture, landscape, nature and Vastu all get the same level of importance. Is on the Coromandel Coast, and it's got a 1 acre plot area, and I'll just give you a quick thing. This is the sea, or this is the beach, and this was the approach road. So this is east, this is west, and it was as simple. This was the side. There is open plots on either side. So the context was nature. The connection was with the sea, with the sky, and with the ground plane. This is as simple and as pristine, which is why we ended up with a concept which is more like a pavilion. So this then drove us to where the house should be. In very simple terms, that becomes the north axis, that becomes the southwest, this becomes the southeast, which is the area for the kitchen, and this becomes the northeast. What actually drives the entire composition is the fact that we have an axis here, which also becomes a wind corridor, and which helps in the circulation in terms of making the house breathe through and through. So we've got level landscape that comes down, and this is where we have the family area. We've got a pool, and we've got landscaping. We've got a sit out. And the platform of the house was raised for 3 reasons. First one being a protection against tsunami, second, the view, and third, breeze. The very first thing that we started, a very simplistic evolution of the first line drawing. So here we've got a section where the concept of the pavilion started taking shape, and that became the concrete structure. This also became the basis on which we did the post-tension slabs, and which is why the final result is almost vanishing edges in terms of the edges and the planes. And that was not an accident. That actually happened right from the beginning, because we had a conceptual idea that we did not want to have thick forms along the perimeter. We've started going through various studies and various permutations, combinations, compositions, incorporating the client requirements, and then testing out various ideas. And this is where design development really starts to add value. So each of these actually symbolizes and shows and tests literally canons of design, contemporary form making exercises. The very first thing that you encounter will be the ramp which will take you up to the drop-off. Here's how you see it, because this is the road level, and then you've got a gradient which comes up to 12.5 feet. This becomes the arrival deck, and that becomes the entry foyer. This scale, we start experiencing light, transparency, connection, the whole inside-outside relationship, and that invariably ends up becoming a far more positive architecture for the residents and for whoever's using it, if it's a public space. The ground floor, we've got the formal living, we've got the informal living, we've got a dining, and the central axis runs through this great space, which essentially enforces and reconfirms the architecture as a pavilion. That becomes the southwest on the ground floor, which becomes the parents' bedroom. This becomes the kitchen, which faces the sea and is in the appropriate quarter from a Vastu point of view. What was also interesting is that we were able to give a wraparound deck, and that deck has a relationship to the pool, and that has a relationship to the green spaces. The first floor is where the bedrooms are, where the private spaces are, and where the family zones are located. So it's actually a ground plus 1 structure with a linen room at the uppermost level. We've got a family deck and we've got a home theatre. And with this, essentially, we've got the house very clearly segregated in terms of public and the private spaces. We've used a very neutral material palette of light colors, bright colors, positive colors, and natural finishes. Marble flooring, which is constant on the ground as well as the first floor. And then we've got accents where required. So natural wood, natural veneers, a rustic wall, a feature wall, a metal installation, and very, very selected artwork. What was really interesting was, and what was the biggest challenge for us in this age of instant images and access to image references all over the world and wherever, what not to put in. And we consciously followed this almost a mantra of less is more and less is good. And that was the biggest achievement that I can say, and the biggest satisfaction, both from the creative team as well as the client team. We tested out all kinds of materials, all kinds of finishes, materials, textures, tactile surfaces, color, light, the entire, so that we end up making a well-informed decision. And it's not just a random, whimsical resolution. And this is evident in all the rooms. This is evident in the play of light. This is evident in the indirect and direct lighting. This is evident in the soft furnishings. In the last 10 years, I can say without a shred of doubt that this project has been the most satisfying and the most rewarding in terms of achieving almost a spiritual and a sublime level of architecture. And the 11,000 square feet building that we've done here is a result of form, space, order, nature, client aspirations, freedom, trust, landscape, all coming together.